All right, we are going. Hi, everyone. Whoever's watching or listening to this, this is the Creativity Theory Podcast. This is the first episode, and my first guest is my brother, Landon LeClerc. That's his last name. We have different last names.
So we're really not brothers. But,
Yeah, well, half brothers technically, but we grew up as brothers.
He grew up a bully, or...
Well, we'll get into that. We'll hash all that out later on. We're gonna keep this introduction light. Yeah. So Landon is my younger brother, and he is 9 years younger than me, almost 10 years younger than me. Mm-hmm. And we have different dads, same mom, brother from the same mother, but we've become very close in the last half decade, and we'll probably talk about it later. We maybe not that we weren't physically close, but I maybe was not the best brother. Maybe was not just the best person or family member in general at a earlier time in my life. But yeah, we will likely dig into that later. But for now, I'm going to put that off. So now we got the introduction out of the way. This is the first podcast, and it is a new thing. I might be terrible at hosting a podcast. That's a possibility. My goal is to get better at this as we go. And another thing is I want this to become maybe a profitable thing. And the way a lot of podcasts make money is by having sponsors. So I don't have any sponsors currently, but what I'm going to do in order to try to get some is I'm going to take existing companies and I'm going to write ads for them and then read the ads in the podcast and just try to reach out like, hey, Coca-Cola, da 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 da, here's my ad. If you like this, why don't you give me some money and I'll keep doing this for you. But here's one on the house. So I have an ad from a sponsor I want to read, a little commercial I wrote last night.
All right.
Hey, you ever get the jitters? Ever feel a little shaky? Maybe get a little hangry every once in a while? Maybe your blood sugar's getting low. Who knows? Ever get so hangry that you take it out on your wife? You know what I'm talking about. Come on, don't lie to me. Ever get a little irritable? And then you come home from work and your wife's all like, oh, you forgot to put the dishes away this morning. And then that's the final straw for you. So you just start hitting her a little bit. Nothing crazy, just a couple smacks. One here, one there, maybe a couple really hard ones to the back of the head. Do you ever do that? Well, if you do, then maybe you should try having a Snickers made with peanuts, cream. This is not funny. This is an ad. Made with peanuts, creamy caramel, rich nougat, and real milk chocolate. Snickers 100-calorie chocolate candy bars are a pure delight with fewer calories than a regular full-size bar. Try our Snickers 2-to-go almond candy bars or our Snickers almond singles. Available now at your local retailer. What'd you think about that one?
I liked it.
Yeah? Okay.
Goddamn. It's good that now that, you have a podcast, we can publicly endorse, like beating your wife.
Well, no, it's not that I endorse it. I just feel like
that's typically what happens.
No. I definitely
the Snickers fixes it.
Yeah. It's that I feel that Snickers, if I understand their usual ad campaigns, it's like it's the hangry thing. It's like eat a Snickers, calm down. So, like I feel like domestic violence is a problem, and if Snickers is a solution to that problem, then you might as well take that angle. Snickers. That's all I'm suggesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so first I want to dig into the questions I got from doing that little Instagram thing. We didn't get a ton of them, or a ton of good ones. Really, there's only one usable one, and it's from Michael Phipps. He wants to know about your golf game and how you go about, how you approach getting better.
Well, I'll say when I tried to start getting better, that it was the biggest thing is the time investment. Like you have to really be dedicated to spend for at least 3 or 4 days of the week actually practicing and getting better, not just playing golf for fun. I think that's the biggest thing. And then after you are doing that for a while, and then it's like you want to stop. Like, it's hard to like take golf seriously, like, or take it as like a hobby anymore. Like, it's like it just becomes like something that you're always trying to get good at. And like, I don't know, it's hard to explain.
Well, so I also know that there's a few things to get into here. Golf is not the only sport that you play. It is your favorite though, right?
Yeah.
That's the one you're most passionate about.
Yeah.
The other sports, basketball is probably second to that, right?
Yeah.
And then you played football, but it's been a while, right?
Yeah. I mean, I love like watching football and like, you know, like I love football, but I have no desire to like actually play football.
Right. That was just like you tried it out and it was like, I like watching this, but not into playing it.
Yeah.
Why is that? Do you feel like there's a reason you don't like playing it so much, but you still love watching it?
Well, it's like I love parts about playing it, but it's like it's so like I mean, I guess it's, you know, for a reason.
I didn't mean to press that. I promise I'm not fucking with you. Keep going. Just ignore that.
But I think like for good reason, but like it's super serious. Like high school football is like super serious and competitive, and like our team always sucks, so like it almost wasn't worth it to me to do that. But like there's parts that I love about it, like, you know, like in gym class that we play like flag football, or like, you know, used to. Like if we were to play like flag football or something, like I would always love to do that, but
yeah,
I don't know. I think it's more like the possible injury part.
Yeah,
like I really don't want to like not be able to walk correctly ever.
Right.
So.
Yeah, no, I definitely, because, you know, Mom got me to try almost every sport, and then I quit every single one of them. Yeah. You know about that. Yeah. So I part of me also feels like Mom definitely wanted a sporty son, and she tried with me, and just it didn't work. And then she was so happy that you did like sports.
And I mean, I did play baseball for a long time.
I forgot about that.
And I was really good at baseball, and the only reason that I quit playing baseball was because of golf.
What was the last age that you played baseball?
Like 13.
Okay, so that's been a while.
Yeah. But still though, I was on like the travel teams and shit like that.
Do you feel like you're done with that? Do you feel like that's possible you'd ever go back to baseball?
Nah, it's definitely too late now.
What do you mean it's too late?
If I was gonna go back to it, it had to have been in high school.
Why is it too late though?
Because I don't go to school anymore.
Well, it's not too. You're only fucking 18. You can go back to school. It's not over for you.
I mean, I guess if I like practiced baseball, I could go to some college and try and walk on somewhere. But
well, let's talk about the school thing. So you're 18. You just finished high school last spring.
Yeah,
and you
did almost this semester.
Yeah, you got into Johnson & Wales in Charlotte.
Yeah,
and you were going to study like some culinary thing, right?
No. I was doing sports entertainment and events management.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And but you mostly were there for the golf thing. Like they have kind of a new golf team.
Yeah.
And you got some sort, like you got offered to come there because of the golf thing.
Yeah, I got like
you didn't get a full scholarship, but it's something.
I got like half
scholarship. Okay.
Yeah.
And just tell me about like, and obviously so since then you have decided to not go. You didn't like it.
Yeah. And I mean
talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's less about the golf part. Like that was the only reason that I stayed like longer than a week. Like, I don't know. It's just like small, like HBCU, like bunch of weird people. There's like 1,500 students. It's just, you know, not the crowd for me. But I mean, it was tough because like we got like a new assistant coach and everything, and he was super chill, and I liked him. And we went up to Penn State for like our nationals, and we won. And then it was like, well, damn, like we just won like the small college national championship. So like I feel bad not wanting to be here anymore, but it's just like it was miserable. Like
yeah.
But what can you do?
Go to a different school. or make the choice to not go.
Yeah.
But you got out of there, so you're not there anymore. And I mean, you're considering community college around here?
Yeah. I think I'm gonna probably end up going to BCC.
Have you thought more about like what you want to pursue degree wise?
No, I haven't thought about that a lot. I want to like kind of give it some more time to think about like what I actually really want to do, like, and make it worth it. You know what I mean? Because I kind of almost forfeited going to a school where like my degree was going to be something that I was super passionate about because of the golf thing there. So I don't, if and when I end up going somewhere else, I want it to be worth it. Like I want
you want to be all in.
Yeah, I want it.
You don't want it to be just to go through the college experience. You want it to be there.
Yeah, like I'd rather not even do it if I'm just going to do it so that I can have a degree.
That makes sense, and I think I agree with that perfectly, because I feel like I'm at a point now where like when I went to college, I was very interested in film, and that was why I decided to go there. But I think once my experience with film education was, well, I approached the whole college experience, even including that, kind of as like I was just getting through it. And I got a lot out of it, even though I was kind of this mostly resistant, trying to get through it sort of attitude. And it wasn't until right at the end that I started being passionate about learning and information. But now I have since grown interest in things like I sometimes consider going back to pursue things like marketing and business.
Yeah.
And even I've thought about going back for like a film master's. I've thought about pursuing like a master's in acting. But
you're just trying to collect some more student loans.
That is true. That is partially the motivation for it. but
they're giving out free money.
Yeah.
Free money that you never have to pay back.
Pretty much, almost. But yeah, to me, I feel like I'm glad that I'm out of that system, and I am much more interested in like the job and career market. And I think that that's kind of where your head is where you're prioritizing that. And if a formal education becomes of interest in the future, no matter what your age is, you'll pursue it. But
yeah, I mean, I think that the biggest thing is that I think that I'm going to kind of like wait and see what happens with everything, with Mom's new restaurant. Like I'm going to work there obviously and see how that goes. And then with everything with you and creativity theory, it's like, if there's anything that becomes like, I would want to know like a lot more about this and could possibly take of use, like some form of education about this. Like I would do it because it would be worth it. Yeah,
you're kind of chilling with your hands in a couple pots and keeping your interests open and seeing like if something takes off in terms of that aligns with your passion and also making money and like it seems to present itself as a career path for you. Makes perfect sense, and I agree with you on that. I think you're doing the right thing.
Because I think it's so hard. Like I know I'm 18, but I'd say that my outlook is a little bit different than most 18-year-olds.
I would agree.
Not to be like, an asshole or anything.
Yeah, no, you I feel are very mature for an 18-year-old.
But it like realistically, it's so hard for you to just, all right, I'm graduating high school now, and now I'm gonna pick the thing that I'm gonna do for the rest of my life, and I'm gonna spend $200,000 on trying to learn that at school. It's,
Yes.
It's like you should almost try like figure it out before you spend all the money,
Yes.
Or if you're going to spend anywhere close to that amount of money, it's kind of ridiculous.
Yes. And there's also a social element that is kind of repulsive about most college campuses, like you're talking about the weirdness of the people that were maybe your particular.
I mean,
college.
I know that my Johnson and Wales is kind of like, it's like an extreme. It's like the worst parts of every college, but
Really?
it's only the worst people. It's like you could take 1,500 of the worst people from UNCW, and that's Johnson and Wales. And it might even be worse.
I also feel like that could be potentially what you're describing as the worst could potentially be a caveat of most private schools.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's the.
I mean, because
Well, you have to think about it like this. Private schools are typically for more wealthy kids from more wealthy families to go to.
well, the thing about Johnson and Wales is that I know that a lot of the students are given these. I don't exactly know like the name for it, but it's like these scholarships that it's basically like the government is paying the school for them to go. Like it's almost just like
Are these like demographic programs? Like
yeah, it's
okay,
like it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
like poor people scholarships.
Okay.
Like I know that there's a lot of that, but there definitely is like that like rich part of people there.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
Well, so where I was going with that was typically in private schools, it is wealthier families putting their kids in there because they can afford private school, and they choose the private school because they don't want their kids to be immersed in the public so as much as they can avoid it. And a lot of wealthy families, because they're able to raise their kids like extra, like in an extra coddled sort of way, and then that breeds often a level of entitlement, or maybe not a level of entitlement necessarily, but a level of security to where like the natural human ego is designed to find problems. So if most of you, the real problems are out of the picture because you can afford to keep them at bay and out of the picture, then you start finding like non-problems in like your near perfect life.
yeah.
And those things often, they're it's people making mountains out of molehills. And
I mean, could be like, I mean, it's kind of probably what I do too. I mean,
yeah. We're certainly privileged to some degree.
Yeah.
And
I mean, sometimes I feel bad about it because it definitely wasn't like the worst thing ever. But I'd say that if it was completely free for me to go there, I wouldn't have left. I think that the money was the biggest determining factor. It's like
it didn't seem worth the money to you.
Yeah.
That was your biggest.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing.
Okay. Got it. So
I don't want everybody to think that I'm an asshole.
Okay. So, well, what, how do you feel about golf at this point? Like you're still going to play golf, or you kind of like feel a little, about it right now?
I mean, right now it's like,
you got a little golf trauma.
I don't have golf trauma, but I mean, I don't know. It's just, you have to be so good to like be on any kind of like tour. Like,
you're just feeling hopeless.
I'm not hopeless. Like, I know that if I could devote all of my time to playing golf, that I could be good. I could be really good, but I don't have the time or resources right now to do that. Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing about golf, though.
Well, you should work to provide that foundation for you.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing. You can get good at golf at any age. Like, you can be good until you're, you know, like 60 or.
Yeah. Golf is not like a more active sport. It's a lot of, you can definitely be playing it into your old age.
I mean, it definitely helps being young.
Yes. Anyway, so let's talk about some art, entertainment. Talk about movies. Is your favorite movie still Tenet currently?
No, dude, it's never been my favorite movie.
It's never been. It's more just like a joke. You just been, well, that's not.
No, I do like it a lot. Yeah. It's just that
it's not that I hate Tenet. It's just not. It's certainly not my favorite Christopher Nolan film, and it's definitely not up there. And like,
I do really like that movie. It's probably in my top 10.
Okay,
but
Do you have a favorite movie right now?
No, not right now, cause I've been watching a lot of like movies that I have ought to watch. Like I recently watched like American Psycho, Fight Club, like a couple movies like that.
Okay, so like classic,
yeah,
sort
like
of Criterion collection type. Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that I have a favorite movie right now, but I'd say that like for the most part, Lost Highway is probably it stays close to number one. I think it's more recency bias. Like if I were to go watch Lost Highway right now, I'd be like, yeah, this is my favorite movie.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Lynch, I kind of had a note here to talk to you about like, so 2019, that's when I came back from LA and then moved in the house. And then that's kind of when you and I really started getting close to each other.
Yeah.
Like we were mostly cool at that point. But
you were just a little LA boy.
I was a little LA boy. And I know in that short period of time that I lived at the house kind of in 2019, I introduced you to David Lynch. And
dude, you almost introduced me to everything that like Twin Peaks is the best thing I've ever watched.
Yeah, particularly the Return, right? The newest season.
I mean, dude, I even love the first two seasons.
Well, yeah, they're great, but I'm just saying like the way
the Return is so good, just because the way that it looks and it has the same exact feel.
Yeah,
I mean, it almost has like a more like menacing feel.
Yeah. What do you like? What do you love more, Twin Peaks: The Return, or True Detective Season 1? That's a really tough one for me, even. Because certainly The Return is more experimental. And
I'd say it's situational. Like,
it is. It depends on what
are you looking for.
Yeah. Like, I think...
Like, I would never recommend, like, to...
I would recommend The Return to less people.
Yeah.
And I would feel, like, confident...
that they would like it.
That people would really like True Detective Season 1 more than The Return. I feel like that's got to be the case. But for me personally, I just... like that experience, the 18 hours of that whole The Return season it's so beautiful.
I didn't remember that's 18 hours.
Yeah, every episode's an hour and it's 18 episodes.
Jesus, I feel like I just didn't even remember that.
Yeah, I mean, we blazed through that shit. We binged it.
I mean, season 2 is also like 22 episodes.
Yeah. So Lost Highway is definitely your favorite David Lynch film, and there's still ones that...
I mean, it's so close between the Lynch films that I have seen. Like, I also love Mulholland Drive and Blue Velvet. Like,
yeah, those are really good.
I'd say that those two are almost tied, and then Lost Highway just
slightly
more,
yeah,
just because like it doesn't even make sense at the end.
It does get really confused. Like
it's almost so funny. It's almost so funny in such a weird way.
Yeah. Well, it just really starts to kind of... it keeps adding elements to it. Yeah. It's like you go in and it's grounded to some sense. It's dark and eerie, and it's immersing you. But then when it's that halfway through where like there's like the body switch, then it's like that's the first layer of confusion. And then he keeps just adding little things to that like make you try to connect the dots and think, but there's just no solid thing to ground any theory in definitively. And that he does that with all his films, really. And that's what I love about it. And a lot of people hate that, and they think it's a cop-out to have open interpretation. But that's what I really love about Lynch. And I really love his ability to balance the conventional with the experimental. That's my to-the-point take about what he does so well and what I love about it. But for you, what is it that you love about...
the part that I love about it so much is how that like 10 different people could watch that movie and have 10 different, I mean, basically what you're saying. They could have 10 different conclusions of what this means, or like I could watch it 3 different times and feel 3 different ways about it.
Yeah.
It's like it's totally up to you to depict like what things mean and how things connect. I mean, like watching Lost Highway, it's like kind of in that middle stage of the movie where there's almost like two like totally separate stories kind of going on.
Yeah.
And then how toward the end everything just kind of like crashes together and it gets super crazy at the end. Like if you kind of go back and you think about it, it's like, you know, all these things connect at some level.
Damn. Okay. You've just finished when I'm mid sipping.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we can move on from David Lynch.
Another movie
I'll go for it.
I was thinking about just now is Nocturnal, that movie with Jake Gyllenhaal with the naked fat girls in the beginning.
Yeah, we watched that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd watched it before.
You watched it before and you got me to watch it. Yeah, I liked that one too a lot. That was a really good one.
Yeah, I like that movie a lot. And that's probably my favorite like Netflix movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if that is a Netflix.
Well, I don't think it's a Netflix original, but it's on.
Yeah.
At least it is or was.
It was on Netflix.
Yeah. So let's talk about music. What's your favorite album right now? You have to answer in 3 seconds or I'm going to turn all this off.
See, it's so hard because it's definitely nothing new. Like, my favorite album isn't a new album.
Yeah, that's fine.
Trying to think of what I listen to the most. I wouldn't even say what I listen to the most. It's just what do I like. It's kind of depending on my mood. So it's like, like all time favorite, probably Kanye's College Dropout. That's probably my favorite album. Like I really like that one. That one's solid.
Are you going to make us talk about Kanye? Is that your way to make us fucking talk about Kanye?
No, dude, I'm not a Nazi.
God damn. Well, yeah, we have to.
We're Jewish.
Yeah. You could probably get away with convincing people you're Jewish with that hair.
I am Jew.
Oh my God. Yeah. You know, I don't think college. Yeah, Yeezus is my favorite Kanye album.
And
I like College Dropout a lot. But
I really like Jesus is King too.
I like Jesus is King too.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the only tweets that I've ever retweeted on Twitter is him debuting that album.
Really?
On Twitter, yeah.
Yeah.
I really like that album. And actually I recently went back through Donda and there's a new song that I really love. It's called Up From the Ashes.
I don't have much memory. I didn't listen to Donda a lot.
It's on the deluxe, I think. I don't think it's on the normal Donda.
Oh, okay.
I love that song. I've been listening to it a lot lately. But then like if we're going like strictly like rap, like for bars, it's got to either be a Freddie Gibbs album or MF Doom album, and it's probably both. Like I can't pick between the two really. I like both of them a lot. It's just my favorite album from each of them, which would probably be Mad Villainy and I don't know which Freddie Gibbs album I like better.
I mean, definitely both the ones he did with Mad Libs are probably my favorites, but the newest one...
The newest one's pretty good.
It's pretty damn good. I've never really liked the ones he did without Mad Lib as much.
I actually really like
but this one is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Like I might like it more than either of the Mad Lib albums, to be honest with you.
And the one that he did with...
I might take that back.
Didn't he do that one with The Alchemist? The last one.
God damn it! What?
1984? Or I don't know.
No, it's not 1984. Alfredo. That's the name of it.
Yeah, Alfredo. Yeah, that's a good one. I really do like that one. But it's short.
Yeah, it's short. Something to rap about's really
isn't the
great.
The bandanas, the blue one.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite of the because to me
that's the one with like cataracts on it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite one.
It's so crazy that Mad Lib made all those beats on a fucking iPad.
He did?
Yeah. He like just tweeted that. Like, I made all the beats for Bandana on an iPad. Like, and I feel like knowing that and listening back, I feel like you can kind of tell between the production difference between Bandana and Pinata. And to me, like, I felt like I think Zach Napinski said this, and I think I agree with it. Pinata, I think, is a better, solid, consistent listening experience from start to finish.
That's what I think.
Or maybe you were the one that said it, and then Bandana has the songs that are the best really stand out. Like Cataracts really stands out.
I think there's some songs on Bandana that like I wouldn't care if I ever heard again.
Right, for sure. There's ones I did not care for. I was pretty disappointed with the one with Killer Mike on it, because I love Killer Mike, but I didn't like vibe to that song.
Yeah.
I did not vibe.
That shit wasn't bussin'.
Yeah, it did not bust on God. In IMO, in my opinion. That's teen talk for in my opinion.
LOL.
LOL. Top 5 rappers. Putting you on the spot, dude.
Dude, people are gonna think I'm a Nazi at the end of this.
Yeah, they are. What, Kanye's number 1?
Yeah, dude. It's the only right answer. Kanye number 1. MF Doom number 2. Drake. No, I'm just kidding.
Dude. Fucking Drake, dude. Yeah, Drake's all 5 for me.
Drake is actually, we're gonna move.
Fuck top 5. I got one favorite. It's Drake, dude. Yeah, dude.
Drake is good.
He's very good.
He's never made a bad song.
I'll agree to that. I can't argue with that.
Yeah. So Kanye, MF Doom, and then it's gonna get spooky here. So
it's gonna get spooky.
So probably Freddie Gibbs. See, and I think that the Kanye is definitely number 1, and then the other 4 could kind of be in any order.
Right. Okay. That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So Kanye is definitely number 1. Then the other 4 are gonna be in any order. So it's MF Doom, Freddie Gibbs, I would say A$AP Rocky, but he just he hasn't made an album that's been really good all the way through. Like, I love his good songs, but his bad songs or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, when A$AP Rocky's hitting, I like it a lot, but I feel like for me, he does not hit most of the time.
Yeah. And then the other 2 are, and this is probably also recency bias. It could probably be anybody, but I really like JID. I don't know if
I don't listen to it. I'm familiar, but I don't listen to it.
He's the guy who made Ed, Ed, and Eddie.
Okay, yeah, I like that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's kind of like a Lil Wayne kind of vibe.
Yeah. I've been growing respect for Lil Wayne over the years. I used to really not like him, but I feel like
same.
Yeah, I've come around to be like, he's a fucking legend. He's a fucking icon, dude. Yeah. And he's a cool dude.
Yeah. And then maybe Tyler, number 5.
Yeah, Tyler's definitely up there for me.
I don't know. There's just so many. Like, it would be so much easier for me to just throw like 15 people in one spot. Like, I feel like top 5 is kind of restricting.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like it's almost like Kanye is my favorite artist, and then the next 10 I have on the same level. Yeah, almost.
So here's another question I'm going to slip in there because it's related to the music, and it was another one that was put in questions for Landon on Instagram. This is a question from Courtney Aubin. What is it like having famous rapper Camboi Smif as a brother?
It's embarrassing.
I bet, dude.
When I used to walk around those schools at South Brunswick, and I had teachers being like, "Oh, your brother's Cameron Smith, isn't he?"
You didn't know what way they meant that.
I didn't know whether to say yes or no.
Yeah, because it could be good on you, or it could have been, "I'm gonna keep a fucking eye on you."
Like, damn, who's the teacher that you told me that had a shitty day?
Miss Menzel, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, like, she
had... And I want to clarify, this was... So, it was... I never had Miss Menzel as a teacher, but... she like I would pass her in the hall. We knew who each other were.
I don't know if she's there anymore, so it might be all right.
Well, no, I just meant that comment. It could be like me saying she had a shitty day, meaning she was doing something. No. She didn't do anything wrong. I was passing her in the hallway, just kind of offhand. I was like, "Hey, Miss Menzel, how's your day?" And she just looks at me and smiles. She goes, "Shitty."
Yeah.
Yeah, and for that I was like, that's funny.
So like I used to wear the white devil shirt to school all the time, and I think I was just, going about my day, going to first period, and she was like, "Hey, who's that on your shirt?" I was like, Cameron Smif. And she was like, "You know him?" I was like, yeah, he's my brother." And she's like, "Man, I love that guy."
Yeah.
And then there's other times where like,
yeah, give me a negative one. You don't have to out the person, but you can keep them.
I mean, I feel like it's worth you knowing who the person is. It would make it funny.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So I had Miss as a substitute.
I'm gonna cut that out.
Yeah, you can, but just so you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So, also kind of same incident. I'm wearing the white devil shirt in class, and she was like, "You know who that is on your shirt?" And I was like, "No, I don't know who's on my shirt. I'm just wearing it." No, but. And I was like, "Yeah, it's my brother." And she was like, "Oh, yeah, so he's your brother." Yeah. She was just mean to me.
Wow.
Like,
that's fucked up.
What? And this was in like, I think it was like biology, like sophomore year or something. And I asked her for like help on something, and she like wouldn't help me.
God damn.
But
yeah, man, you might want to keep it private that you're associated. Well, now you're out of school. You're out of the school system. You're good now.
Fuck the school system.
So, what's your favorite Camboi album?
Coronavirus 2.
Really?
I love Camerona.
Yeah, I remember showing you that for the first time. And
dude, that's because I feel like that's almost like that'll be probably the closest thing that you get to like kind of like an R&B kind of feeling rap kind of album. Like I really like that.
Well, I feel like Love Songs for Absolutely No One's the closest thing I've ever done to like a almost entirely R&B.
Yeah, but that's more like I mean, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Don't let me.
To me, I feel like Camerona 2 is by accident maybe the least funny album I've done.
Yeah, I think it's like
the most like just geared towards rap bars and serious analysis through lyric writing of the situation, where Camerona 1's much more light and funny.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted what you were gonna say.
No, dude, it's good.
Well, you like Camerona 2 more than Bad Boy?
Yeah, I mean, I do love Bad Boy. Corporate America is a Lie and a Scam is a good song. Made the album. Really wraps it up from that multi-genre.
Yeah. All right, well, there's a little game I wanted to do with you while we're on this subject.
All right.
So, I'm trying to think of a prize to give you if you get 5 out of... There's 7 of these. If you get 5 out of 7 of them right. It's guess the song that the lyric is from, but with Camboi songs.
Uh-huh. All right, so here's an idea. Here's a prize. You could say that you're going to give me like $100, and then, you give it to me, but then I just give it back to you when the camera's off.
Okay, yeah, we could create a Mr. Beast moment.
Yeah.
Why don't I just say I'm going to give you
moment.
Why don't I just give you $100 or $100,000? I just say that.
Fuck it, 100 million. Just
yeah. I'll just make up any number and say that's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Well,
works.
I was thinking something like giving you a pair of the Banana Republic pants, but I'm worried if you wash them, they're not going to fit you anymore.
Oh, that'd be nice. I would like that.
Yeah.
Well, I got to see about these ones, because I don't think that these will be as easy. Well, I'm also going to like wash them on cold and stretch them out, and then see if that'll fix them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Well,
so that'll be good.
Let's do the Camboi lyric trivia. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit you with the first.
So what, you're gonna give me lyrics. I gotta tell you the song.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Number 1.
Can this be from any album?
Can be from any album. I'm not going
starting at CGM.
Starting at White Devil.
Oh God.
There's only one White Devil one in here.
I'm definitely. I mean, I might know it. I only know a couple songs.
I feel like you might not get the White Devil one. It's honestly the only one. I guess there's maybe like 2 or 3 in here that I feel like I try to make hard. I try to make it to where it's like
easy, medium, hard.
You're definitely gonna get, I think, half of these.
Okay.
And then the other ones.
So I just got to get one hard one.
We just got to get into it.
All right.
Yeah.
Feed me.
All right. Yo, you malnourished and you smell like you showered in the foul urine of the most homeless person in the town you're in.
See, this is one that I should know. Say it again.
Yo, you malnourished and you smell like you showered in the foul urine of the most homeless person in the town you're in.
Okay, so this is Love Songs for Absolutely Nobody.
No.
No? Is it Bad Boy?
No.
No? Fuck.
This is one that I wasn't sure if you'd get.
I'm not a true Camboi fan.
I know, you're being exposed. Obviously, you don't love me.
Give me the album.
CGM.
I'm not going to get it.
Okay. It was Wordsmith.
Yeah, I feel like the only song that there's only a couple songs that I'd probably get from CGM. Probably like.
I gave you this one because it was actually a personal favorite of mine. Like Wordsmith is personally one of my favorites.
Yeah, I know that you love that song. All right, give me the next one.
All right, this is one I don't think you're going to get.
All right, watch me get it.
Smelling like a small bass, rap game fan Lee. Got a big butt dough, rap game Bambi.
Is this the White Devil one?
Uh-huh. There's only 13 tracks.
I just don't even know any of the names from White Devil. Like, I don't know the track names. Can I look at the track list and pick one?
Sure.
All right.
Oh, are you pulling it up on yours?
Yeah.
Now, White Devil's not on Spotify anymore.
Oh, it's not?
Yeah, you're probably going to have to like...
Here, just you pull it up.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
And then you just play all the songs and listen to all the way.
Yeah, let's sit here for 45 minutes so I can listen to all the songs. Say it again.
Smelling like a small bass, rap game fan Lee. Got a big butt dough, rap game Bambi.
Big Dick Swinging.
No.
All right.
It was Smell Yo Pussy.
Yeah, I wasn't going to get that one.
Okay. The rest of these I think you got a shot at.
Dude, if I get none, this is going to be embarrassing.
It is. It's going to be. I'm actually already pretty secondhand embarrassed for you. No, actually, I'm mostly embarrassed at myself for doing this, making a trivia of my own lyrics for you. And the first 2 you don't even get. So this is like me being exposed. Like, not even your own brother gives a fuck about you, dude. You've fallen off. You're washed up, dude. Okay, anyway. Not even falling off. You didn't have anywhere to fall from, you fucking loser. All right. Number 3. She on the couch and wants her ass devoured. I'm eastbound and down like Kenny Powers, but my cock is the thing I'll knock you down with. It's a goddamn plane. You clits the Twin Towers.
Okay, so I know that this is Bad Boy. No?
No. Oh, fuck, dude.
Like, I know this song. But, yeah, this is embarrassing for me.
Let me try. Let me see if the way if I rap it, it'll click for you.
Oh, no. This is this is from I Don't Feel Well, I Need Attention.
There you go.
And I don't want to make a guess and it'd be wrong. It's I'm eastbound and down like Kenny Powers. I'm just trying to think of the next couple words. And it's got to be...
It switches right after the... It's a goddamn plane to eclipse the Twin Towers. The flow switches.
The flow switches or the beat switches?
The beat and the flow kind of switch. Not too much.
So it's one of two songs. This has got to be... It's down at the bottom. Fuck. Am I wrong about that?
I mean, that album, the last like 7 tracks are rap, so that's kind of the... Because the rest of it isn't really.
Is this Suicide Note?
No.
Come Step?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
There you go.
See, I knew that it was Come Step from the beginning. I just second-guessed myself.
All right, well, you're not having your Mr. Beast moment, obviously.
Do I get that one?
I'll give it to you. Also, you got a chance of getting... You have to get the rest of these right in order for you to get 5 out of 7 right.
All right. I need to sit up.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
This is number 4.
All right.
The symptoms of this shit are real fucking pernicious. Luckily, my dick is long enough for me to fuck from a distance.
All right, so this bar leads me to believe that it's from one of the Cameronas. And I'm guessing since it's this mean, it's probably the first one. Is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Dude, I just don't know the names. I need to look at the track list. I'm getting exposed live.
Yeah, you are.
Dude, this is
what it's all about, is me confronting you. You've always been like, yeah, man, great album. Yeah, I listened.
Say it again.
The symptoms of this shit are real fucking pernicious.
Camvid 20.
There you go. Boom. All right. I know you're going to get this. Dude, I don't even know if I can fucking say this line without laughing. I got a refined taste in tires for the Chevy. I'd rather join Al Qaeda than have tires like your Chevy, but 72 virgins wouldn't be enough sex for me. Could call me Ford because I would F-150.
Corporate America is a lie and a scam.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right, dude.
All right, now here...
2 more left, right?
2 more. I don't know if you're going to get either of these.
Yeah, probably not.
Skeet a fucking seed in her, see that shit recede in her, ultrasound that tummy, and then see a little me in her. Eat the fucking fetus like a predatory demon bird. I am not the devil, I am Cambizzle the creator.
This sounds like a CGM bar to me.
Yes.
CGM on Spotify?
It's not. Do you need to see the track list?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, I feel like I could probably get this one with the track list. All the listeners are mad at me right now.
I think the listeners are mad at me for doing this in general. Nah. I think this is the moment where people are like, yeah, I'm not watching any more of this fucking podcast.
Yeah, you put me on the spot like this. It doesn't fucking help that there's 30 songs.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Jesus, I just don't even know.
Take a guess. Just throw one out. Do you need to hear it again?
Yeah.
Skeet a fucking seed in her, see that shit recede in her, ultrasound that tummy, and then see a little me in her. Eat the fucking fetus like a predatory demon bird. I am not the devil, I am Cambizzle the creator.
CGM.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
No. That you're just picking that as a song. Sorry, I thought you were clarifying the album. No, it's not that. It's Diamonds on My Dick.
Oh, yeah.
All right, last one. I don't think you're going to get this one.
Dude, I'm probably not.
Isn't it ridiculous that women can get in the voting booth in November without rip? Isn't it ridiculous that women can get in the voting booth in November without ripping a friggin' ligament?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Baddest boy on earth.
Damn, I feel like I should probably know that one.
Yeah.
I feel like I probably should know every bar from Bad Boy Forward. I'm not mad at myself for not knowing the CGM ones.
Yeah.
Definitely not mad at myself for not knowing the White Devil one. I got that bitch on CD, but that shit's still in the wrapper because it's going to be worth millions of dollars one day.
I don't know about that.
And I think I got CGM still in the wrapper. No, there isn't a wrapper on the CGM one.
There is. Oh, you were saying your copy. I thought you were saying CGM didn't come in a wrapper.
Yeah,
the only one that didn't come in a wrapper was I Don't Feel Well, I Need Attention.
Okay, so I know that I have 3, and one of them's not in a wrapper, so it has to be that one.
I Don't Feel Well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that one couldn't be in a wrapper. I had to burn those myself.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll get into the personal stuff now that we're we've switched the attention onto me. This is all about
me fucking exposed.
Yeah.
Already.
So not having Camboi Smif as a brother, what would you say publicly it's like having me as a brother?
You as a person, not Camboi.
Yeah.
Helpful in almost kind of every way. I mean, for both of us, not really like growing up with like a dad like there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I kind of did, but
we had all sorts of versions of it.
I chose not to listen to mine for good reason.
Yeah.
But, you know, not saying that like you're my dad, but like
one of the few
you were like
solid male role models.
Yeah. You were kind of like the male figure in my life.
I've thought about that in that way recently because I don't think it ever clicked with me that like the age difference. Because to me, like I think the way I think about you being 10 years younger than me versus the way you think about me,
mm-hmm.
not just consciously but unconsciously, it's a different relationship. I mean, we both have that brotherly love that's the same, I think, but that male role model thing, that's something that because of you being 10 years younger than me, I don't necessarily have with you.
Yeah.
But I realized recently, I was
maybe
like,
one day.
Yeah. Well, once you became taller than me, then I was like, I gotta look up to this guy. But, and also, yeah, I mean, now I feel like you're at an age where you're becoming an adult and there's things that you can do that you can act out that I observe and maybe are qualities that I don't have that I do want to have. There is something about you that like you seem to be less neurotic than me, more calm and zen naturally, where I feel
like generally I'm really like calm like all the time.
You are.
Like, it almost bugs me that people get stressed about anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that in you. That
like, it pisses me off.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Like,
you kind of have this, and you're like, I'm chill. Why don't you chill out?
Yeah. I'm chill, and I'm all right, so you ought to just do the same exact thing as me.
You ought to be chill like me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got you. Yeah, I feel that. Yeah.
And I think the biggest one is Mom. Like, she be getting stressed over nothing.
Yeah, we do, I think, particularly between Mom and Nan, I think they're very neurotic.
Like high strung, like.
Well, I would just say high trait neuroticism between them. They just, they can make mountains out of molehills. They get really stressed out kind of about not a lot. And I feel that I feel like you and I both have a level of neuroticism instilled in us from that.
Yeah.
But you seem to be more grounded and chill naturally, where I think I have that neuroticism, but I think I've found ways to transmute it. and deal with it. So you would say that I've been a good influence on you.
Yeah.
How do you feel that? Like, what do you feel like I do that's...
I mean, I feel like informing me about like sleep and, like different substances like caffeine or weed or, any kind of drug that you've ever tried. Like that's all really important to me because like
you don't necessarily feel like you have to do the same kind of experimentation as I do. It's because you feel like you can, to some degree.
Like I trust you enough to where it's like, all right, if you tell me not to do this and it's not worth it, I probably won't ever do it.
Yeah, but you've tried both things. Like you've tried caffeine, you've tried weed.
Yeah, I mean, there was, I used to drink a lot of coffee, a lot of caffeine for a while, but couldn't sleep.
Yeah,
or made it really hard, and it's worth it to be able to sleep good better than it is to. I mean, it's almost kind of funny that these are kind of the two things. It's like one makes you not sleep and one makes it really easy to sleep.
Yeah, but even the one that helps you sleep, apparently,
it doesn't actually help you sleep.
It
helps you go to sleep, but it makes your sleep worse.
Well, it's specific. It suppresses your dreams. It suppresses the REM cycle of sleep. And maybe if you are still experiencing dreams on it, it represses the quality of that function. So the way I would word that experience at this point is like, I think if you smoke weed every once in a while, you're in the clear. But if you're someone certainly that's doing it
like
regularly every day, you are really chipping away at your mental health, and your mental stability, by suppressing the REM cycle in that way. And I personally, from the years where I have questioned that habit, being someone that has gone years doing it on a daily basis pretty much, and then taken that habit away and experienced what it's like mentally to be without it once you get past that withdrawal period. Yeah, so much more clear-headed. You're just more naturally and unconsciously organized and solid and sharper, and certainly emotionally. I think that's the thing people really don't.
That's the biggest part to me.
And I feel that the more information I've gathered over years, the less I'm able to handle even a mild psychedelic state like the marijuana high. But certainly the more intense psychedelic states of like mushrooms and acid. I've never had a bad trip on acid, but I've also taken acid a lot less than I've taken mushrooms. And I certainly feel like that before, when I was dumber and less informed, I could handle these states with perfect ease.
Without like thinking about it.
Right. But now I feel like there's so much information I have taken in about the way things work, both externally in the world and particularly internally with psychology and biology and just physiology and that kind of thing, to where I'm more aware of what exactly is going on. And all that information comes flooding in all at once when I'm in these states, because they open neuroplasticity, and they open how much kind of the container can hold and be aware of at one time. And it's so overwhelming, and it really induces anxiety for me at this point. Yeah. And I definitely noticed from going on and off the weed habit that like the emotional stability one has and the psychological stability one has really starts to deteriorate with daily use of marijuana. That's my take on it. And you feel like you've experienced that, like you've gone on somewhat of.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? It wasn't this past summer. It might have been not this past one, but the one before that I became friends with a couple buddies, and I mean, I remember there was like a period of like a couple months where if I wasn't high like every day, that it was like every other day or so. But like, I mean, me remembering the time, it was almost like, yeah, I was pretty much high like almost every day or every night, Right. Like get off work, go get high, go chill, go have fun, whatever for a while. And then I think that the biggest thing is like the emotional stability. Like, I think with me being like so chill, it was like I almost lost that.
Yeah.
And I was more like kind of all over the place, and I started to like crave being like chill.
Yeah.
Not like, it almost feels impossible for me to like stress about something that doesn't matter right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like your level, like your tolerance for being stressed about something becomes so different. Like something that doesn't matter, you can it'll bug you, and it's not good.
Yeah.
Sorry, I ramble.
No, not at all.
Sometimes my brain don't let me be putting the words into sentences.
No, so where my head was I was like, all right, I feel like we've squeezed the juice out of this part of the conversation. But so what was like, what am I going to ask him next? What's your least favorite thing about me?
You know, this is a tough question.
Yeah, putting you on the spot. You might also think about it as someone you love, what is something
that I wish I could help you change?
Yeah. Can I do it for you? Like,
yeah, or I have it though.
Okay. I'll do it for you first, and then you tell me yours.
All right.
When I don't know, I'm not always on this, but one thing that I do feel confident that when I am on this, that I do feel I am an optimal influence for you and people in general, really.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm on my like hyper focused, hyper productive version, when I'm aligned and doing shit and the shit's good, and sometimes I feel like I observe, I observe pockets where you kind of fall into this, I don't give a shit, I just want to lay around kind of mindset. And I kind of want to instill like almost an internal despise for that lazy. Like, it's fine to chill and give yourself a break.
Yeah. And
to relax. But you don't want to
shouldn't be like a
You shouldn't be chasing that easy comfort of the video games.
Yeah.
And also, that's the thing, too, is like video gaming can be really productive in terms of like sharpening your mind and your motor skills and tactical, because a lot of those games are really complicated in terms of the way you have to plan and think. So it's not that video games are bad, but I think there's a certain like benefit to loss ratio with it, where it's like
for the right amount of time and when you're doing it.
Right. It's the time and when. Exactly.
But if you're like staying up late playing video games, not worth it.
Well, because it's one of those things, because I used to be really into video games, but I got out of it very quickly early into high school.
Yeah.
Like, I was really into it in elementary school, really pretty into it in middle school, and then I just completely, like, almost completely dropped out in high school, where there's like a video game that'll come up every once in a while I want to buy, and I'll play it, I'll beat it, and then I'm done.
Your 1 week Red Dead 2?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That shit's crazy to me.
That I beat Red Dead in 1 week?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was done. Didn't even really fuck around with it after that.
Yeah. I mean,
I gave my PS4 to you and left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said, fuck video games. I'm giving you my PS4 and I'm going to LA.
Yeah. But I do, it's mostly with the time thing, because it's like, if you put that same sort of tactical thinking and energy into something that's rooted in reality, like a business, or or a job, or just making money, or art, or anything like that, then you have this real tangible thing in real life that you can share with others, where it's like, if you put all that in video games, like, what do you have? You have stats to show people. You're high in the rankings. It's like,
unless you're making money off playing video games, it's not worth it.
Yes, with the exception of like the professional esport players who are making as much as like professional athletes playing games. If you want to go down that path, by all fucking means, do that. But
yeah, dude, that.
I sat in on some esports tournaments when I was in LA. Like, I got paid to be an audience member to sit in on those. It was PUBG tournaments. And
that's sweaty.
I don't know what those people were getting paid, but
those
it must
people
have been a lot.
don't shower.
Yeah,
They probably stank in there.
maybe, I don't know. It was a huge sort of like indoor arena.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's still crazy that that's like a thing. Like,
or I wouldn't call it a huge arena. I would call it like think about the biggest movie theater you've ever been in.
Yeah, it's like a convention center.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is crazy that people make so much money off just playing video games.
Yeah, and especially the YouTubers that do that shit.
The YouTubers probably make more money actually.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't know, because there's esports players who do YouTube. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So they're making a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like, imagine just every time you wanted to play video games, you just pop on the camera and then you post it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So easy.
Okay. So you can tell me the thing that's your least favorite.
So I think that my least favorite thing is your commitment to what you say sometimes. Like,
elaborate on that.
So sometimes, for instance, you may be like, all right, this is my last time smoking weed, or this is my last time drinking caffeine.
Uh-huh.
And then what even goes so far is that you'll bet me hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then we'll like go get coffee right after that. Or you'll be good for a day and then you'll go get it again.
Okay. Let me make you a deal right now here on the podcast.
Don't let him trick you. He's doing it again.
This is not
He's doing it again.
Look, this is not only because this is not private, and this is going to be immediately released. Pretty much immediately released.
Yeah, there's going to be millions of people seeing this, so you better watch out with what you
hundreds
say
of millions
right now.
are going to watch this first episode as soon as it comes out.
Yeah.
I had my last sip of coffee before this podcast.
Today?
Mm-hmm.
Did you lie to me?
Yeah, I've lied about this several times before about it being my last
No,
coffee.
you lied on Thursday. You said, you know what?
I know. I know. Let's just forget about that. I had a coffee before this, okay?
All right.
That was the last one.
I'm mad at you now.
You should be. But I agree with you. And that's kind of where I thought you're going to say.
I am so angry.
I didn't expect the wording, but I think that's precise about you wish my commitment to these things was better.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that.
I agree.
Hard,
I want it to.
But
it is. Caffeine's
a hard one, but you almost got to be like, I mean, I know you know, but it's like, you just got to be like, no matter how bad this is going through it, it's 100 times better on the other side.
Yes. Yes. I agree with you. And I think, and I've taken the leap of going month 2 without it. And then for some reason I come back and it's the hardest one. It's the most longest and difficult and annoying withdrawal symptoms. And it's the one I really hate is how not sharp my focus is for weeks.
Yeah.
In the recovery of it.
It really will fuck up like a whole month.
Yeah, it will fuck up like a whole month.
Having coffee like 1 or 2 times will fuck up a whole month.
And particularly the first few days, first week, it's pretty gnarly.
I feel like usually if you can get past the first like week and a half, you're good. Like it's still, you still think about it, but it's.
I have found that if I do the diet pristinely, and intermittent fast to where I start getting in ketosis, it really alleviates a lot of the lethargy symptoms of the caffeine withdrawal.
Yeah.
So where it's like really like sometimes even the first day isn't bad.
Yeah. I can imagine.
I remember there was one time, like I think the beginning of 2021, I was at like 2 months of not coming.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was pretty good about my diet. It wasn't. I don't know if I was that great with my diet. I think it was mostly that I was like 2 or 3 months.
2021, we were going out to eat.
Yeah. So yeah, I was not, and I was fat, pretty fat, because that was when I don't feel well. I Need Attention got released. I remember I was pretty fat and my hair was long. I was not as fat as Bad Boy. I had lost some weight, but not a lot.
Yeah.
But I remember I think I quit like on the 1st of January, and then I went and did a comedy show. Like, I was like, I don't care that I have a comedy show today.
You just need to quit.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to get through it, even though it's my first day. And I was fine. I was good. I had a great day. Yeah. And I felt like I just skipped the withdrawal symptoms that time. And I think it might have been because of the semen retention. I think it might have been like, I don't know. That to me seems to be the most potent form of like an energy boost to get past the first month of that. Well, now that we're sitting in silence on that, this would be a good follow-up. Do you think I'm a narcissist?
No. Maybe.
Do you feel like you can't tell me if I am? Do you feel like it would hurt my feelings?
No, I don't think it'd hurt your feelings. I think...
Do you think I think I'm a narcissist?
Maybe, yeah. I think that maybe that's what it is. Maybe you think you're a narcissist. Maybe you think that you're a narcissist, but you're not actually. It's all in your head.
I think a lot of things about that word. Because I think it's one of these words, like there's a lot of words we could talk about here in this sense that has been postmodernized, where I think narcissism used to mean a very specific like mental diagnosis, like you have narcissistic personality disorder, where it's like,
yeah.
And I think that is a very specific thing, where then there's just the general labeling of people as narcissists. And it's just kind of whenever someone behaves in a way that, at least on the surface, seems self-serving and self-centered, and we don't agree with it, we don't like the behavior, we often go for that label, narcissist, you fucking narcissist. And I also think that this podcast so far has a pretty good example, like one, me having these questions for you that are centered around me, to me doing the trivia, the Camboi trivia, about my own, very, very narcissistic. But there are also things that like I was aware of going into that they're narcissistic, and I don't really care about creating that image. I think it's funny, and I kind of lean into it a lot in a caricature sort of sense.
I mean, it's a good thing to do with moderation.
Yeah, I mean, it's good and bad at the same time. I think, but I think even between those two definitions, where there's this looser thing where it's like, I think in the second sense, the postmodernized thing where we just call it, I think everyone is a narcissist.
Everybody can be a narcissist.
Yeah, to at least a small degree.
Yeah.
And I think that I think it's necessary to prioritize, like I think there's a healthy way to go about it, and that there's an unhealthy way to go about it. I think a very unhealthy way of going about narcissism is, one, being self-centered and not aware of it and in denial about it. That's, I think, the worst form of narcissism, where you are just so self-centered and completely unaware of it and won't admit it. Mm-hmm. I'm not a fucking narcissist. Oh my God. That's just very, it's very cringy when you meet that kind of person. It's also the kind of person that will talk about themselves and won't shut the fuck up. Like,
yeah.
And won't even have any moment of like doing it for a few minutes, like talking about themselves and like, oh, well, I'm just talking about myself for a little bit. But it is also a little cringy when someone gets like overly self-conscious constantly of like, oh, I'm talking about myself again. And they just do it 10 times in a row.
Or they just do it to like make people think that they
They
care.
sometimes think that showing self-awareness excuses the behavior, which it doesn't necessarily.
It almost makes it worse.
Sometimes, yeah.
I think most of it, like all the time.
All the time.
Unless
I don't know. To me, I think
unless it's like actually genuine. But
well, yeah. Well, I think that can be a pretty good rule just about anything. Like, I think as long as you're being genuine, it's fine.
Yeah.
And in any case, in any behavior, if you're being genuine, it's like, at least there you're behaving in this way that's truthful and can be criticized. And as long as you are open to hearing it, and you don't necessarily have to change to change in a way and shape yourself to whatever everyone's saying about you to you all the time, but you should be open to those kind of negative comments and then kind of amalgamate them over time to be like, most people tell me I'm a narcissist.
Yeah.
Most people seem to say that I talk about myself too much. And I don't feel like that's necessarily the case for me, but part of me feels like I don't feel like I have a lot of people confronting me about it. I do feel like it's a thing.
It's more of a self-driven thing.
Yeah. Well, and I do think I have a tendency to do it more than others. I'm not the most narcissistic person by any means, but I think I'm more narcissistic than the average person. I think I try my best to deal with it in a healthy way and to allow myself awareness to get it out of the way and minimize my narcissistic behavior, or focus on the narcissistic behaviors that benefit me in a way to where my existence benefits others. I think this is where I'm going with this, is like, I think that the healthy level of narcissism is the kind where you take care of yourself and focus on yourself first in this way, to where you can be the best version of yourself for other people.
Yeah.
If your narcissism is like, I want to be focused on me to protect me, fuck everyone else, I think that's where that's a precondition for unhealthy narcissism. If it's fuck everyone else, I'm all I have, it's all about me, this is my life, I think that's an unhealthy precondition to perceive yourself. And I think it's much better to say, like the airplane thing, put your life vest on before you start helping the person next to you.
Yeah.
And it's like,
you got to make sure you're good before you can.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like, you can't expect yourself to help someone else if you're not helping yourself. Yeah.
And another way to say that I really like this analogy. It's it's not the glass half full, half empty, but it's this idea of like, you are a glass, and once your glass is full and overflowing, then you can give water to other people. But if your glass is like running on empty, or it's only half, like, you really can't give very much to other people. So it's like, fill your glass up first and then start overflowing it, and then give that overflow to the people around you. And I certainly have noticed that, like, when I'm not taking care of myself and I am this low energy, low confidence, just like a negative form of self-conscious, I'm draining to people. I think I've really, these past 5 years of really focusing on the inner workings of the self, I think I've gone in and out of these ruts where, like, I'm really draining to be around, like, socially. I think I've lost a lot of friends from, like, reconnecting with old friends who, like, remember this more energetic and extroverted version of me, and then I'm around like, oh my God, he's like a drag now. He's like depressed. And I think that a lot of that has, just me going through these really difficult pockets of, like, trying to figure myself out or figure out what's wrong with me, or, like, thinking I'm moving in the right direction, but maybe I'm making an error and I'm making something worse, or not taking care of it properly. I mean, this is a super dense and complicated subject, but to come back to it, in this sense, you do or do not feel like I'm a narcissist.
No, I don't think that, like, you are, but I think that sometimes, like, it can be just like an overthinking kind of thing. Mm. Like, you may think you are, and then you thinking about it too much will make you almost become what you think. So, I mean, no, to answer your question, I don't think you are.
Do you feel like you're a narcissist?
Is it narcissistic for me to say that I'm not a narcissist?
No, I don't think
I was.
I don't think it's narcissistic to say that.
Do you think I'm a narcissist?
No, I wouldn't call you a narcissist. But like we said earlier, I think everyone can exude narcissistic behaviors. And I think that all of us, and I mean, all of us in general as people, but then we can whittle it down to our family. I think we as a family have different varying levels of narcissistic behaviors. I feel that you are one of the, like, I always felt like, aside from me, the men in our family tend to behave less narcissistically. Like you, Pop, Martin, y'all don't seem very narcissistic, where I feel me, Mom, and Nan are more narcissistic. Not that we're narcissists, but I think our narcissistic behavior and our way of thinking leans more narcissistic.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that a little bit. I mean, I think it kind of comes back to the, like, you know, me, Pop, and Martin are more, you know, kind of like
calm,
chilled out. And
mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's tied to the neuroticism.
Like, yeah.
And I think that, like, in the way that I'm talking about narcissism or self-centeredness, I think it has a lot to do with the negative side of self-consciousness, where it's like you're hyper aware of yourself and you're focusing a lot on that.
Yeah, it's like using the hyper focus in a negative way.
Right. You can get hyper confident and you just love yourself like, I'm amazing, I'm the fucking best. Or you can be hyper focusing on all your flaws and they're all just hitting you at once and you just feel like an absolute bag of shit.
Yeah.
And useless. Do you believe in God?
I'm a big Christ man.
On God?
Not like... It's not like a super public thing. Like, I really don't talk about it a lot. I mean, another part of it is, like, I feel like I don't talk... Like, there's no one that I really have to talk about because, most people are, like, weird about God and religion. So I try not to talk about it with the wrong people, but I mean, yeah, I'd say that I'm a believer. But maybe not like, I'm definitely not like a believer in like that, you know, God is a man and that, you know, a lot of that is up for interpretation, but I think that it's more belief in a higher power more than, you know, God. God is a... How
would you describe your conceptualization of God? If you can. I mean, you can also say, I can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it's pretty simple. It's just like, I think that there is something. It doesn't have to be man, woman, you know, small. It's just like a idea of something. I just think that there's a thing that I believe in that
you don't feel like it's this human personifiable thing.
No.
You see it as a abstract force.
Yeah, it's like consciousness.
Yeah.
It's like a
the collective consciousness.
Yeah.
It's the thing that drives order of all things forward.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of see it. I see it as...
And that's, like, I think that it's a lot more important
than... the abstract force of good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot more important than a lot of people like to make it seem. Like, a lot of people like to say that, like, oh, they don't have time to believe in God or a lot of time to be religiously active or anything. Like, kind of like Mom. Like...
Yeah, well, she's not a non-believer, but she's not a non-believer. She doesn't actively.
It's just that, like, I mean, I'm not saying that church is a good thing, but, like, we were never, like, a church family or anything.
Well, like, you know, Nan and Pop, particularly Pop,
yeah,
liked church.
I think Mom... that's another thing about that is that I don't think that what you can learn at almost any church is worth that time or money, you know? I think that church is too much of a business.
I don't think that's always the case because you can certainly go to church for free.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you can go to church for free, but I think that churches are about getting the people who are like willing to bring money into the church. You know what I mean?
Maybe to some degree, depending on the church that we're talking about. But I just, I don't.
You don't gotta agree with me.
Well, I don't necessarily disagree with you, but I don't know. I think I've come around to from like middle school through most of college, from being someone who would identify as atheist or just impartial, like just not involved with religious thinking. And then even like a lot of these ideas that are along the lines of the church is just corrupt. You know, a lot of these religions are just straight up corrupt.
I think that's too far.
Yeah, it's too broad. It's too generalizing to just say, well, it's just Christianity's bad. It's so corrupt. It's like, no.
Christianity's good, but there are parts of it that are corrupt. Like there are people who are corrupt that are in Christianity, but it's not. It's just too crazy to say it. The whole thing is wrong.
Here's how I think about it in Christian rhetoric, like using words like heaven, hell, God, and Satan and that kind of thing. I think that we can think of corruption itself as a satanic value. Like it's as God is the abstract force for that which is good, Satan is the abstract force for that which is bad. And corruption is bad. And all of us, every single human individual is susceptible to corruption. Yeah. And what we are seeing is all these different forms of religion, forms of government, forms of communities, even in the form of like digitally, like social media sites and conglomerations and businesses and corporations. I think that all of these things across the board are just as human individuals susceptible to corruption, because the humans that make them up are susceptible to corruption, are susceptible to being possessed by the devil, aka corrupted. Yeah. And I think that even in organized religions, you have those who are involved and who are corrupting a thing that was built to be good. Yeah. Who are misusing it, who are exploiting others, and who are claiming moral virtuousness. And again, this is not just in religion. I would certainly say it's very prevalent in political field. It's definitely bigger
in political than it is religion.
Yes. And
that's what politics are driven by.
Yes. Well, we're going to veer off into that, but to close the loop on the thought, it's basically that I don't think that any religion is inherently bad, and I think that they're designed for good.
Yeah, I think that they're all designed to be good.
Yeah, and the same thing I think particularly with, we can think about our capitalist society. A lot of people think capitalism is just bad. It's like, no, capitalism is supposed to be a good thing, and it's built to be a good form of government, but it is susceptible to corruption, and there is corruption in it. There is corruption in Christianity. There is corruption in Judaism. There is corruption across the board in every single religion, every single form of government, every single political party, because individuals are susceptible to corruption. That's it. Yeah. And I think that I really believe in this individual responsibility in that case, because I think it roots back to my views on the narcissist thing. Mm-hmm. It's like, if you want to use the word narcissist or not, you can, in this sort of broad context. But I think if you as an individual focus on doing the best you can, as an individual, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you, as far out and broad as you can reach with that good. And that also you can be humble about your definition of good, because you might not, what you think is good right now might be wrong. You need to be open to knowing that you might be ignorant and that your definition of good needs some work. It needs some sharpening, and you need to figure out, this thing that I've always thought was good it's not so good. Or this thing that I've always thought was bad, it's actually not inherently bad. There's some good things about it.
Yeah.
Separate the fucking baby from the bathwater, dude. But to get into the political thing, this is a point that it's not a point that's my own original idea, but it's a point that I feel is very true, and I've been sharing with people, and they seem to be very excitedly agreeing with it. But it's on this point of religion being like this basis for, if used correctly in a non-corrupt way, you can extract really beautifully constructed, useful values out of these religions. And they're really great values to live a good life and to know how to behave with yourself and with one another and with nature. And when used correctly.
Yeah.
And when you have this basis, you can then have a political ideology on top of that. And you can have political disagreements with people around you. But at the end of the day, you have a value that values that person you disagree with. They have inherent value to where, like, this political disagreement matters very little in comparison to, like, the value of this human being for their life and their individuality. And so this does seem to be a fundamental difference just in general between the left and the right in modern Western society. And it's that the left, they're more psychologically open and creative, and also, I think, less inclined to be part of an organized religion. So there's a lot of atheistic types that dispense with valuing religion or religious values. And this psychological principle that even if you don't believe in God, you will have a God.
Yeah.
And what God will be is what you value the most. That's it. God in this sense is simply what you value the most, unconsciously or consciously. You might even consciously think you value something the most, but you unconsciously value something else, and what you unconsciously value most is what you act out.
Yeah.
And so I think that the left seems to be more susceptible to disbanding with religion and their God value, instead of it being a religion, it being a political party. Their politics matter most to them, where a person on the right, and of course, right is just as susceptible to the corruption as the left is. But there this very interesting phenomenon where the right in America does tend to be a little more religiously locked, a little more dedicated, and holds religion to higher value. And they just value a Christian value like love thy neighbor. It's like you often see more people on the right be like, yeah, I love thy neighbor. Like, I disagree with this guy on the left who's saying this and that, but at the end of the day, I love him and respect him for his individual value.
Yeah.
Where on the left, it's like their God value at the very bottom is, no, it's my political ideology. So if you fucking disagree with me, I'm unfriending you on Facebook and I don't respect you. You're actually bad for this society. You're a bad person. And that is where... that's why I'll say out loud, like, I have always been someone, like, through most of college, that I think I actively aim to be moderate in political realms. I think it's good to be centered, and I think if I'm pursuing being an artist, I think it's necessary to be fair in terms of, like, be able to criticize both the right and the left.
Yeah.
And be able to make fun of them and also find what's good about them and bring that to the table. But and I think they're both necessary. The ongoing argument between the two is very necessary. We need the right to keep us grounded and moving at a pace that is manageable, and we need the left to invent new ideas and think of ways to move forward. And we need them to balance each other out.
Yeah.
I know I'm boring the fuck out of you at this point, but
no, you're not.
I'm not. Okay.
I love this shit.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna wrap this point up. I feel that particularly starting in the Trump era, and then the way polarization is stretched out, and then with COVID and the way that really even worsened the polarization, and how much we saw like the mainstream media, like we've always known the mainstream media lies, but like how blatantly and how often and how heavy and important the lies were in this case. How much the lying really mattered on like a global scale and like affected our lives. Yeah. I think through all of this, it has shifted the political spectrum in a way to where, even though I've always kind of been in the middle, I would even say like I have historically been a left-leaning moderate. And I think in this time of extreme polarization and political spectrum shift, my views haven't really changed so much. I've just deepened an understanding of what the views are and can talk about them in greater detail. But I feel like I'm still sitting in the same spot, but the spectrum shifted to where I'm now would appear to be a more right-leaning moderate.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of what I just outlined, where it's like the right seems to be more stable in these times of polarization, and I certainly don't agree with everything the right says by any means. I wouldn't even call myself a conservative. But I was talking to a certain someone on the phone. I won't out them, but I was talking to a certain someone on the phone like a week ago, and this was the analogy I made that I really liked. It's like, if you think about the left, you come from a broken home. Your mother and your father are divorced, and you go between their houses. You know, sometimes you stay with mom, sometimes you stay with dad. Mom's the left, dad's the right. You've always preferred mom, like for most of your life. Mom's better. And they both have the problems. You know, mom's a little wacky, but she's a better home. I love my mom more. I think I agree with her values more. Dad's kind of rough, alcoholic, sometimes yells, fucking kind of a dick. Mostly don't like going to his house.
Yeah.
But man, the last half a decade, mom's mental health has really taken a strange turn to where she's having like full-on psychotic episodes, and she's throwing glasses and breaking windows, and she's sitting on the floor cutting her arms, and she's, you know, singing songs from the 40s. Like, what? So it's kind of like, Mom, I love you, but I gotta go stay with Dad while you're going through this.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you're gonna kill me in my sleep.
Yeah, I like that.
To me, I feel like that abstractly really captures how I feel about it. Where it's like, I would never ever disband someone because of their political ideology. I would never devalue them.
Yeah.
I can find certain like radical ideas on both the right and the like. Particularly, like, I'm against radicalization. You know, I certainly cringe at radical ideology on both ends of the spectrum. And another point to that is like, and I know people disagree with me on this, but I do feel that when the right is radical, it's more clear, in my view. Where the left, it's much more muddled, that line between moderate left and radical left. And I think that, like, to me, I think I see it a lot more clear at this point. But I think certainly, like, in very beginning of COVID, I feel like there was a massive radicalization of moderate leftists to the radical end of the spectrum without them knowing. Because a lot of conversations I had with those friends were like, it was very surprising to hear one didn't understand that there even was a radical left. The left could even be radical. Would be in, like, if you were to ask them what is a radical, they couldn't tell you. Yeah. Like, what are some radical left ideologies? Couldn't tell you. So, and then also being in denial, like, okay, even if there is a radical left, they're certainly not as bad as radical right. It's like, I think radicalization on both ends of the spectrum is genocidal. Like, it's happened. Yeah. You know, you have the genocidal atrocities of fascism on the right, and you have the genocidal atrocities of communism on the left.
I mean, it's also necessary. Like, the radicals are necessary in some degree because if there's one radical on one side and no radical on the other side, then it's, there's no balance. Like, there's nothing, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, sometimes, I don't know, but to me, I feel like the goal.
Obviously, there being radicals isn't good, but having that there has been before is a good thing.
Yeah. I think it's more. It was evolutionarily going to happen with the rise of political ideology as a thing in our evolution. Like to me, I think it's nature's way of stretching the political ideologies as far out as they can go. Like, genocide's pretty bad. That's probably where it's too far.
Yeah.
And then now I feel like we are aware. One, the internet being a thing and us having all this information at our fingertips and being able to communicate in this way is huge. And us being so aware of these atrocities and being able to communicate and respect, and warn people, we're going too far this way, on like a mass global scale. Constant communication across the board at an instant.
Yeah.
I think that's a big protecting agent of social media and the internet, is like hyper aware of history and able to share these reminders of the atrocities of history with one another, so that like we're probably less inclined to start a third world war because of how scared we all are, because of how informed we are about how bad it could and would be if we had one. And no one wants to do that.
Yeah. It's not going to end up being good for anybody.
Yeah. No one in their right mind would want to do that. But again, people are susceptible to corruption, and there are ideas out there that seem banal. Like, there's certain forms of environmentalism that, people will casually say things like, the human race is a cancer on the planet and we're destroying it. And it's like, your next idea might not necessarily be we should eradicate the human race so that the planet can be saved. But there's an unconscious implication of something like that.
Yeah.
When you think about humanity as a cancer. And I will admit, as someone who would previously consciously identify as nihilistic and hedonistic and atheistic, that I think I had ideas like that instilled in me that was like, yeah, that sounds about right. The human beings are a cancer. We suck. Fuck them all. It's a pessimistic outlook of life that I think my influences kind of around me collectively made me feel. And then it wasn't until I was probably about 21 that I realized this is stupid. This is a bad way to think about the world. And a lot of these past several years have been becoming more and more aware of the depths of that kind of ideology and undoing that programming in me and trying to focus more on like a solid form of optimism and a solid form of focusing on refining a definition of good and aiming for it.
Yeah.
I feel like I've talked nonstop for the past like 30 minutes, if not longer.
This is good though.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's anything else you want to throw into the ether before we close it out, or you feel you're good?
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. I guess there's a few things I want to clarify just after going on a rant like that, because I was certainly not expecting it, but was knowing that this is likely a possibility of where this podcast can go, and that it would be a good idea to get this out of the way in the first episode. Yeah. So trying to think of where to start. think I should just talk about the name creativity theory here.
Yeah.
So
I was thinking about that.
Yeah. I think it's a good place. So you know what I mean by creativity theory. Like, it's not just the company.
Yeah, we've talked about it a couple times.
It's basically, this is how I view the nature of reality. Creativity theory is not just the name of this podcast or just the name of my company that I do freelance media services currently. That's currently this iteration of the company, and it's not my idea for what I want the company to always be. I want this thing to evolve. I have kind of a plan for it, and a lot of work ahead of me to bring that plan to fruition. But creativity theory is also kind of like my life philosophy. It's how I see the world, and it's my own antidote to quell and create a better alternative to something like nihilism. And it's basically that we create our own reality, or at least we create our own perception of reality. We might not ever be able to know what the true nature of reality is and truly know all the rules and truly understand the origins and how this place works. But I think if we work from the inside out, we can acknowledge that we have created our perception of reality through forms of understanding such as literature and religion and science and philosophy and the amalgamation of all these things. It's a broad understanding of the world, and there's a lot of overlap between a lot of these fields, and there's a lot of discrepancies that we are constantly arguing and trying to iron out. But even in something like science and mathematics that are grounded in reality, we did create as human beings our relationship and our rhetoric around these fields of understanding the world. And it's how we communicate these complicated ideas that are rooted in objective reality with one another. And so even those things are a form of human creation. And the words that we use to communicate with each other are forms of human creation. And these stories, whether they are truly a definitely fictional story like the fucking Harry Potter or a story that maybe atheists will view as pure fiction like the Christian Bible or any other holy book for that matter. And then that the more spiritual and religious types will say this is literal fact.
Yeah.
And then of course all in between, it's like, no, maybe a lot of these things aren't literally true, but they are metaphorically and profoundly true. And there's a lot of true values that the stories are representatives for. So even in all those cases, whether these stories were created by God, whatever you conceptualize God to be, or they were created by human beings or an amalgamation of human beings over time, whether they were created by writing them down and they're just random fictional ideas, or they're created from abstracting our behavior over time and ironing out these values in a very cohesive and beautiful and well thought out and organized way, it's still creations, and they affect our perception of reality. So that's the essence of creativity theory. Is essentially everything is creativity. Everything is creation, and that creativity is divine. To me, I feel creativity is God. Or God is necessarily all creations that are good. God is the creative force that is moving things forward in a way that we define good. And good is also a definition and a word that we've created, and it means a thing.
Yeah.
And bad, like bad is also, there's bad creations. And I don't think something like destruction is necessarily bad. I think destruction is a form of creativity. I think sometimes
destruction can be good.
Destruction can be good if we're destroying a thing that is bad.
Yeah.
But again, our definitions, even on an individual level, of what we think is good and bad are creations of ours, and we shape those, and it is shaped by those around us. And so I think what human beings should be aiming for in this theory is to be aligned with their personal, individual relationship with their creativity. And to me, my experience with it has been when I've fallen out of line with that and I'm not in creative flow, I am miserable. I'm not doing the best I can for myself and the world around me. But when I am creating the best thing that I can create in the moment, and I'm in it and I'm aligned, that is when I'm the best force that I can be. So in an attempt to center my life around this belief, I have created this brand, Creativity Theory, which is, again, it's a company, it's a podcast, it's probably going to expand to a lot of different things. But you can think of it just simply as a brand, and you can think about it as an actual theory for the way I perceive reality, and I think is a good philosophy. And I think it's a way that I can have positive, genuine, true influence on other people. And the other thing I wanted to address, which was me doing this podcast, because I've been thinking about doing a podcast for a long time, and I have always said no to it. Like I love being guests on people's podcasts, but I've always felt like I don't want to be a host for a number of reasons. One, it's work putting together a podcast.
Yeah.
And to be consistent with it, it's really only worth it if you're consistent. Probably. I don't know. Just ideas like that, like kind of pragmatic things. And then also the fact that like everyone's got a fucking podcast. Everyone in a mudda these days has got a podcast. So why add to this oversaturated market of podcasts? I don't feel as a podcast host that I really have much to offer. That's been my feelings about it. And I think over the more recent year or two, I've changed my mind on that. And then here's the main thing that I've always thought that I think has really kept me from it is, the way I presented myself publicly up until progressively over the last few years, more and more so, the way I presented myself publicly and in my art forms has been facadical. It's more oriented towards humor rather than truth. I just want to make people laugh. I don't really have much of a I don't really value truth in the way that I didn't value truth in the way that I've come to do now.
Yeah.
And so I think that knowing that if I were to do a podcast, I would be presenting myself genuinely in these long form discussions, and doing so genuinely, I'd be genuine, and it would be very publicly.
Give people the other side to you.
Publicly
the
accessible.
real side.
And I've always been kind of afraid of that. I've been unsure whether or not I want to cross that bridge. And I think that a lot of the art that I've done and that I've put out over the past few years has been more and more like from I don't feel well, I need attention, to love songs for absolutely no one, to putting out camthology. And even a lot of the way like my stand-up has kind of shifted over these years. I feel like I am incorporating and merging the truth with the humor. And I don't want people to think that this podcast is going to be all serious all the time. I think we're going to goof around and have fun.
Yeah.
And there's going to be episodes that probably are more on the genuine and just strictly business and truth talk, and there's going to be
more like the Michelle Obama podcast.
Yeah, well, that's definitely my biggest influence of podcasting is Michelle Obama's podcast.
It's a really good one. You should go check it out.
Yeah,
but after this one.
Yes. Well, no, I would actually recommend check out Michelle Obama podcast before this one. If you haven't checked it out yet, and you are, even if there's only like 10 minutes left of this one, stop this.
Fuck it. Maybe Michelle Obama will sponsor. Maybe Michelle Obama podcast will sponsor this podcast.
Maybe Michelle Obama will come on and get in the hot seat. That shit turned off again.
We're calling you, Michelle. You are our savior.
Anyway, the main thing that kept me from doing this podcast was I didn't want to present myself genuinely. Had a lot of like trepidation towards that, and that I really wasn't sure I wanted to cross over into that territory. And I think mostly because out of fear of having my, like, being so public, but within a facade, it shields me. Like, I've always shielded myself with my humor. It's like, you can't really criticize me for my jokes.
Yeah.
You don't know what I'm really like. They're like, you're mad at my opinion on that's expressed in that joke. Well, guess what, buddy? It's a fucking joke. I don't actually think that way. But now you have this podcast that is just rich with things I really think, and man, you can just tear me apart after listening to something like this. You can really hate me.
Yeah.
And, or you can really love me, either way. But I think that that reason that I've always not wanted to do this has become my reason for doing it. I think that presenting yourself truthfully and genuinely is good. And I've come to believe that, and I've come to really believe that. And I feel that I have learned that firsthand by slowly pushing more genuine Cameron into the art that was once purely facadical, and then I've been like kind of just slipping more genuine in there, and now it's like, all right,
people aren't even going to notice this change.
Maybe. But that's so now I want to do this because I like having these real conversations, and I think that I need to develop as a person through genuine dialogue, and I need people to call me out on my bullshit. I need to get in arguments. Yeah. One thing, like, as much as like I love you and we agree on almost everything,
yeah,
it seems.
pretty much.
I want to have people I disagree with on here. In fact, I would really like to get to a point where I'm having people on here that I have straight up feuds with.
Yeah, that you don't like.
Well, yeah. And I would really like to work out, like, have difficult discussions.
I mean, because you're good at that. You're good at, talking people through shit. You know what I mean?
I do. And I feel like I'm ultimately aimed at peace.
Yeah.
I ultimately don't want to have enemies. And I don't think that it's necessary for me to have enemies. I don't think it's necessary for anyone to really have enemies. I think that a lot of our feuds and disagreements across the board interpersonally are not pointless, but a lot of times unnecessary, and it's mostly just from misunderstanding and miscommunication. And a lot of times it can come from not from people being bad, but people having bad ideas.
Yeah.
People being stuck in an ideology and the reality they've created, either consciously or unconsciously. The reality they are constantly reinforcing on themselves, the lens that they're reinforcing for themselves, it might be a bad lens. A lot of lenses and a lot of ideologies are geared towards seeing people as enemies, seeing people as others, and I think that those are negative ways of viewing the world. I think that they're bad, maladaptive forms of creativity. And
it's because all of us are susceptible to corruption.
All of us are susceptible to corruption. And yeah, I think it's to put that idea to plug it into creativity theory. It's basically like everything is creativity, and there is a broad divine creativity, which is the oneness of everything. It's all that is creativity, and all that is not is creative potential. And you can divide creativity in all sorts of ways. And by the way that we do that is through our words, which is a domain that we have created. We've created a lot of nuance and detail through our language. And it's all, but even in all that detail and nuance, it is all creativity. And we can judge that creativity, and we can feel that creativity. We can feel that it is good and productive, or that it is negative and maladaptive. And I feel that, yeah, we need better ideas. We need better ideas as a as a, not just a society, but as a race, not just as a race, but like species.
Yeah.
The human race.
Everybody.
Yeah. I think that's probably a good place to end it. Do you feel like I'm going to be a good podcast host?
Yeah. You're good at talking, so.
I sure do a lot of it. I think I definitely talked too much for a host today. I want to be clear that...
But this is more about you than it is about me.
I don't want that to be the case. I do feel like that
it's good groundwork.
Yeah. I do feel like getting a lot of this out was necessary for the first episode. I considered just doing a solo podcast where I said a lot of this by myself. But it's so hard to say a lot of that.
Sit by yourself, yeah.
When I'm looking into the lens of like a webcam or a camera and seeing my own reflection rather than looking into another person, I feel like I speak more clearly and I don't like stop and go, oh, let me do that over again. I fucked up. Where it's like this, it's more challenging,
yeah.
But I think I speak better when I'm talking to a real person. So those of you who are considering coming on my podcast, don't think I'm going to go off on 30-minute, hour-long rants.
Because he can.
Yeah,
he can get away with it.
Yeah, I'm exploiting my brother's patience for
We're gonna have a fist fight after this, and he's gonna lose.
Yeah, that's true. I think I probably would definitely. I mean, I do beat you in arm wrestles.
Yeah,
but you definitely got reach on me. If we were to do a fist fight, you got reach on me big time.
How about we do a boxing match? Like,
I don't think so.
Logan Paul, Jake Paul.
They've never fought each other.
I know, but we could be like the first brothers to box each other.
No, dude. I do not want to inflict any physical damage on you, and I don't want to receive any physical damage from anyone.
Yeah, but that's the point. We don't, like, all these big time fights are just like, they just kind of fight each other, but then they all make money.
All right, well, we'll just end on that you want to do a fucking boxing match with me, but I don't want to do it with you.
This is me calling you out.
To me, I think that your creativity is negative and maladaptive.
No, this is good creativity.
The situation that
your creativity trying to end this shit is bad.
No, let me actually instill a value, which is, of course, not my own original thought, but it's a value I consciously put into my perception of reality that I think is the line. I think I'm a free speech absolutist. I think speech and words is our domain to play around with ideas and to do so unhinged. All speech, including hate speech, needs to be able to come out, because even in the case of hate speech, we want to know who's saying hate speech. So I am across the board free speech absolutist. The line, if you want to know where the line is, I think the line is when it crosses from metaphysical, speech, words, ideas, into physical, and we are physically harming people. When people are being physically harmed. So
I agree.
If you want to talk about Kanye real quick, calling him an anti-Semite and comparing him to Hitler, I get it, because he's really not making a good case for himself with the words he's choosing. And I think he's doing it on purpose. I think Kanye West is a fucking performance artist, and he's Andy Kaufman level incredible at it in terms of...
I've also been coming up with this thing kind of recently that, like, this mask that he's wearing is similar to, like, Red Hat Cam. Like, that's kind of my thing.
It does. It seems like he's kind of...
Everything that he said while wearing that mask
is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. No, as someone who...
He's like, well, as long as people can't see my face,
yeah,
I can say whatever I want.
I think Kanye has an incredible sense of humor. And I don't think I was aware of how incredible his sense of humor was until he released Poop Diddy Scoop in fucking 2017, I think.
Yeah.
2016, maybe?
Yeah, I think it was 17.
Yeah, I think it was 17. Yeah. That was the moment from when he released Poop Diddy Scoop. And then he, put on the MAGA hat. And also I saw him in that David Letterman interview where he was in his closet showing David Letterman his shit, and he said that he likes Andy Kaufman. It all clicked for me, and I was like, okay. And everything he's done since then, from putting on the MAGA hat to fucking going to the White House and talking to Trump about aliens, and saying fucking wild shit's getting him put on TMZ, running for president, and renting out Mercedes-Benz Stadium and sleeping there and not leaving and doing this fucking crazy album release for Donda, and then everything he's been doing now. He just is so aware of how much influence and power he has in that regard, and he is just fucking playing with it. He is.
Do you think that any of it's like genuine?
I do. Well, that's the thing, is I think that there is overlap in genuine and him leaning into what is genuine, knowing it's controversial. And also, like, you know, to say something like, I like Hitler, or that I like Nazis, he knows that is the last thing anyone can say and it be okay.
Yeah.
And so he knows it can very easily be misconstrued as, I support the Holocaust and I think it was very good. But he's not saying that, and he's not trying to get another Holocaust going. And that seems very clear when you listen to these long-form discussions. He's just saying it to be upsetting with words, which I think is perfectly fine as long as they're words. Once it crosses that physical barrier and Kanye actually starts killing Jews, that's when I'm finally like, okay, Kanye, now I can't support you now that you're physically harming and killing people. That's where I'm like, okay, now I'm not okay. But still now, I still have respect for him, because even what you listen to what he is saying, it's like he's saying the controversial, upsetting thing, but then when you listen to the full discussions, the thing the big idea that is genuine and not something he's saying that's controversial is that I love everyone. Even the most horrible people of society historically, the most reprehensible behaviors, I even love Jeffrey Dahmer. You know, it's like, I can get behind that, actually. And I think that is kind of the essence of what I feel is in creativity theory. You know, I feel that it is kind of this like love, my values, my three highest values that I say are truth, humor, and love. And I think that love is a very important one. And it's kind of like, that's the measure. It's love is you want to keep your creativity encased in love. You don't want to do non-loving creative things. Yeah. And another thing I heard in my years in college, like I can't remember who said it. I believe I was in a creative writing class. I don't know if it was a teacher who said it or a student who said it, but it's this idea that it's the artist. The artist is the one in society who's supposed to empathize with even the worst of the worst. They're supposed to be able to write even about a horrendous genocidal maniac or a serial killer from a perspective that empathize, like can even get an audience to empathize with this person.
Yeah. And
I think that idea has really stuck with me, to where it's like, you know, even in the cases where everyone just across the board, every single person on the planet agrees this guy is bad and doing bad things, I do feel like it is necessary for an artist, and I think it would be a good idea for everyone to really, because if everyone were like this, maybe we wouldn't have bad people. If everyone were able to empathize and sympathize with even the worst of the worst and not other anyone under any circumstances, and to lean into our collective and unified nature. I mean, that would be an impossible thing to flip a switch and it just happens, but I don't think that we can fix society through our systems.
Yeah, and I was actually having a conversation like kind of along the lines of this last night at work with a guy that I work with, and we were talking about like owning a gun and stuff about that, and I was kind of telling him how like I think that the system, like the gun registry system, is kind of like it's a system that's flawed, like from the beginning. Like it's a thing that I don't think should exist, because, you know, if there's a thing that, you know, a certain person can know who and who doesn't own guns, it almost defeats the purpose of owning a gun. It's like if there was no system like that, it'd be like you would treat everyone like they had a gun. You know what I mean? And you wouldn't do a bad thing because you're like, oh, well, you know, this person probably has a gun and they could probably kill me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's kind of broad in the same way, but not really. But it's kind of like, you know, if you treat everyone the same, these bad things wouldn't happen. And
yeah,
I know I'm stretching a little bit, but
well, yeah, and also just the area of like gun control is not something I have a lot of passionate thoughts on. Like I
don't really care about it, but I'm just saying, like, thinking about it, it's like, all right, well, if I'm gonna have a gun, it's probably gonna be so that I can protect myself.
Yeah.
In the rare case that someone like breaks into my house or something.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely across the board think that, you know, in a perfect society, no guns would be necessary. But the idea of getting to that level of perfect society seems unrealistic.
Yeah.
Or very far in the future. But I do definitely agree with this take on that gun violence is certainly a product of mental illness on an individual level and to varying degrees. Like, it's not just simply someone has a mental illness that's labelable. I think it's just mental illness in the case of mind virus and bad ideas, bad ideology. And it could also be, or only be, something like a diagnosable mental illness like schizophrenia or paranoid variety, or depression and anxiety to extreme levels. It's just driving a person to madness where they're going to kill themselves anyway and they decide to take others out with them. Or, you know, extreme bouts of anger, or these kinds of things. It's just mismanaged. Like you're not managing your anger and your sadness well, and you are going to take it out on a single individual. You have an ideology which allows you to dissociate from valuing other people in this way, to where you just would never kill one unless it was like necessary and
life or death for you.
Yeah, life or death for you, or someone you love, or someone who is innocent.
Yeah.
You're trying to protect your fellow human being. You're defending violence with violence. Because you have to. The words are not a choice, because the threat is so immediate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm getting to that point where I'm done.
Yeah.
I can't use any more words. But this has been fun, and we'll have to do this again sometime.
Yeah.
I hope I don't get in huge trouble and get canceled immediately. But, hey, what's to cancel? Am I right? I'm nothing.
Yet.
What if we just read the sponsors again?
We need to come up with some new sponsors.
I had fun writing those.
You know, I got one. You know, there's one that I know.
Is it Blue Moon?
Unfortunately.
Tell us about Blue Moon.
Did you know that Blue Moon was born in a ballpark? That's it.
Come on, you know more stuff about Blue Moon. What about the flavor profile?
Not yet. I can't give it to them. They don't deserve it.
Have you
yet.
forgotten the flavor profile?
No.
Tell us about the flavor profile.
I know about the hints of coriander, dude.
Okay.
Don't get mad at me. They're just not ready for it yet.
All right, we'll do a Blue Moon episode.
The Blue Moon sponsor will be real. I guarantee it.
Landon, I love you, dude.
I love you too, brother. It's been real.
Has been real. God bless you.
God bless.
Bye-bye, everyone. All right.